Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin,
I'm your co-host Aaron.
and we're back with Dead Alive. I fucked up.
Take two.
I fucked up last recording because I had two mic inputs on, and it sounded like trash. So, we had to reschedule a re-recording. It was supposed to happen way earlier than this, but I ran into some personal problems, and now we're here doing it. So it's about a week late, but I mean, late's better than never, right?
Yeah, right.
So we're gonna rehash this, but you know what? I think we'll probably be able to do it better than the first time.
Yeah.
We'll see. This movie is one that I don't see talked a lot about on podcasts or like online at all. Depending on where you are in the world, it could be Dead Alive like it is here in the States, or it can be BrainDead like how it is overseas. This movie is fucking nuts. I remember watching this when I was really young, during when Blockbuster and Hollywood Video used to be a thing, and I actually went to a store on Friday when I used to go to my mom's house over the weekends. We would go and pick out our movies for the weekend. We'd have movie nights for Friday and Saturday night. And I remember going with my stepfather, and I think besides the first movie that I really remember renting early on was a movie called House. Not the Japanese one, the 80s one, which they might actually both be 80s, but it's the one with the cover with the hand ringing the doorbell.
Mm-hmm.
That movie. And then we also did Dead Alive, and I remember this movie very fondly because it's just so batshit insane.
Goofy and just it's got everything.
Yeah, it's got so much going on with it. So this movie, it holds a lot of nostalgia for me. Because when I was young, like I said all the time, I was afraid of everything. But this movie, I laughed. I remember laughing a lot more than being scared because of just some of the crazy shit that happens. And I remember all these scenes. I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember when we were trying to watch it, I couldn't find it on anything. You couldn't rent it, couldn't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
But I found it on
YouTube
for free because people uploaded it, like the full thing, like good quality too. So you can watch it on YouTube for free. So if this is a movie you haven't seen, go on YouTube, type in Dead Alive or BrainDead, and I'm sure you'll find it. It's worth a watch for sure. This is again, I always thought this was an 80s film, but it's not. It's 92, and it has such an 80s feel to it because
it does.
The practical effects, the writing style, how everything is shot. It feels very 80s. It's a 90s movie before the 90s kicked in. I know you guys probably know what I'm talking about with the way that films looked during that time and how it kind of progressed to how we are now. 90s was super cheesy. This movie's cheesy, but it's cheesy in its own way. I kind of can't hold this to a particular movie. I guess the closest ones I could do is House, like I said earlier, or Night of the Creeps, because this is a horror comedy.
Yeah.
And it's Peter Jackson horror comedy. He did The Frighteners, which was one that I know a lot of people liked, and also he did Lord of the Rings, and then he did, what was that other movie? I always freaking forget what it is. Oh my god, 1 second, guys. This is I gotta look up Peter Jackson. He did, oh my god, Bad Taste is what it is. I always forget that one. That's another really wacky film that if you want to watch something wacky, this is one. And Bad Taste as well. Frighteners, it's kind of like the complete opposite of this film. It's more of a serious, like, ghost story type thing with Michael J. Fox in it, and it's really good. But yeah, this movie is like nothing else I've seen, I feel, in the horror comedy realm, because it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you haven't seen this, Aaron, before until you watched it for this. So what are your takeaways from this?
Well, this one I went in completely blind. Um, I didn't read anything about it before I walked in, and started watching it. But I loved it. And like you can see a lot of inspiration from a lot of other zombie films in it. Like
Yes.
even if it's just a little bit, but it's
Yep.
there. And it's very goofy.
Super goofy.
Which it doesn't take itself too seriously, which I enjoy.
Yeah, you can have fun with this movie.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I think it's one of those movies that you can show somebody who doesn't like horror. I feel like, and they'll still enjoy it. For like it's like a bad movie night, but not a bad movie,
Yeah, exactly. This is definitely a party movie. Go grab some popcorn and some beers or something with your buddies and throw it on, and because you're gonna get a lot of laughs out of this. I think a lot more than scares, because nothing in this movie takes itself serious.
It's a little gory, but that's it's part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a wacky film. But before we jump into it, Aaron, if you want to pull up IMDb and all that good stuff, and we'll run through some of the actors and maybe the budget and whatnot like that.
All right.
Take it away, Captain.
So, we got Timothy Baum, who plays Lionel Cosgrove, who was our main character.
Yep.
He was in Dead Alive, Mercy Peak, Brokenwood Mysteries. Nothing too crazy. Nothing I've heard of, at least.
Yeah, it's always like that. And this is what they call themselves, Kiwis. This is a New Zealand movie, which I always think it's really funny that they call themselves Kiwis. And there's a lot of things in this film that kind of poke at that name, like the guy who comes into the shop and his van says Kiwis on it. To kind of like let you know like where this is. So yeah, people in like New Zealand, they don't normally go on to huge careers. I mean, Peter Jackson is obviously an exception because he went on to do like really big budget films and shit and like a big success. But usually the actors, especially ones in this film, I don't think they really went on to do anything spectacular after this.
But then we got Diana Penalver. I probably butchered that.
Yeah, that's close enough. I'm not even gonna try because I know I'm gonna make it even worse.
Who plays Paquita?
Yeah.
And then we got Elizabeth Moody, who plays Mum.
Mum.
Vera Cosgrove, Mum. Ian Watkin, who plays Uncle Les. You'll meet him. Brenda Kendall plays Nurse McTavish. Stuart Davini, who plays Father Magruder.
Oh yeah, that's the best role. Best role.
I kick ass for the Lord.
I kick ass for the Lord.
Jed Brophy plays Void. And then a lot of like side characters and
there's a lot of people in this film.
Yeah.
What do we
64, I think it said.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. What do we got for budget or anything like that? If IMDb likes us today.
So the budget was $3 million estimated.
Okay.
Opening weekend, it did $23,765.
Oof. Yeah, I don't think you made your money back there, Peter. But you know what? You definitely did later.
Yeah.
Over the years, for sure.
Oh, definitely. And then it grossed 242,623 worldwide. Yeah, didn't do too well.
I think because this is 92, so I think people were probably burned out with the whole horror comedy subgenre that's going on there because there was a lot towards the end of the 80s. So yeah, I think that's probably why this didn't do that great.
But yeah, and then let's see if I can find anything else. I could probably move on to Rotten Tomatoes.
Let's do it. I don't think I remember what the scores are from last time, so I can probably take a guess if you want me to.
I'm gonna take a whack at the tomato meter.
I'll take a whack. I'm gonna say, since it didn't do that well in the box office, and usually these reviews are, from years and years and years ago, and they don't really get updated because no one really goes on and like re-reviews movies as time goes on. I'm gonna say that critic score is probably like a 69.
It is at 89.
89? Oh,
and
shit.
certified fresh.
Okay, cool. It deserves that.
Then audience score 50,000 plus ratings.
I don't really consider this movie a cult classic, but I think some might, just because of how hard it is to find this film to watch. Unless you were like me, looked everywhere, and last resort was YouTube, and managed to find a bunch of actual YouTube videos that worked and weren't spam that said go to this website to watch this movie. I'm gonna say that it's gonna be high. I'll say it's like 73, 74,
87.
87. Oh shit. Okay, so they're both very, very close. Oh my god, this is a tired episode.
Sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean that.
Oh, sorry guys. I'm gonna be yawning. I'm really gonna be yawning a lot through this, and I'm sorry if we start triggering people with yawning. I have been working every day. I work 7 days a week, no days off. So bear with me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try my best not to do it. But what do we got for reviews?
All right. So this is a positive review from Scott Tobias, who is a top critic. Once Lionel stops trying to cover up the zombie threat and starts fighting it, Dead Alive becomes a delirious showcase for mold, squibs, and other old-fashioned horror effects.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, spot on, dude.
Peter Rayner, who is also a top critic from Los Angeles Times, says, after you see it, if you want to race out of the theater and recommend it to your sickest friends right away.
Yep. For sure.
And I don't see anything bad about it on here.
Well, that's good. We don't need it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this movie is definitely its own entity. Obviously there were, horror comedies before this, but to take it to the extent and craziness that the whole ending of this film does, I don't know if I can really pinpoint anything that came after this to hold it against.
Yeah, it does.
I think it really is its own entity, even though it does pull from other films, but it's very original. And that's a good thing. So I think without further ado, let's jump right into Dead Alive.
All right.
So, Aaron, do you want me to start?
I can start.
You want to start? Go ahead, man.
All right. So we start off, and we're in kind of like a third world country.
Yep, Skull Island.
Skull Island, yep.
And for those of you who probably don't get the reference, it's a King Kong thing, and Peter Jackson went on to direct a King Kong film later in his career. There's a lot of cameos and nods to other things in this film.
It's like they predicted the future.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, and we meet a crew who's out looking for the Sumatran rat monkey.
Yeah, some sort of weird fucking
hybrid creature.
Yeah.
But according to legend, it resulted from the rape of tree monkeys on Skull Island by plague-carrying rats.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Some fucked up nature shit right there, man.
Yeah. So we meet Stuart, who's an explorer, and he's coming from the depths of the island with a guide and the rest of his team. And he's carrying said rat monkey in a cage. But
Yeah.
then they end up getting stopped by some natives.
Like, you can't take them.
Yep.
Essentially, it's like they're trying to like hold them from taking him out. I mean, kind of smart on their part, right?
Yeah, they don't want him to spread it,
Exactly.
But, so they want their monkey back, but he ends up escaping with the cage and the rest of his team on a jeep. But he ends up leaving his guide behind, and they drove off without him. But then he ends up chasing down the jeep and making it on.
Yeah, like this guy got lucky as fuck, dude. He was like hauling ass, like, no, what are you doing without me, man? Come on.
So he thought he was dead, but then he jumps on, and then they end up like fighting, and Stuart gets bitten by the rat monkey.
You've got the bite.
You've got the bite. So then he ends up kicking him off the jeep. They end up they hold him down after they kick him off, and then they go to amputate his hand.
Dude, it's so nutty right off the bat.
Right. So then they end up seeing another bite on his left arm. So they chop that off. And then they see scratches on his forehead from the monkey, and they decapitate him.
Yes, so that poor soul who's just trying to bring this monkey for research ends up getting killed by the one thing he was going to research, essentially.
Yep. So then we got our title card.
Yep.
While you got Stuart screaming to death.
Yeah, it's so cool too. It's like the blood's like draining out of the letters, and monkey on a plane and shit like that.
Yep. But so yeah, we go through our opening credits, and you get like a what's the word, montage of like this monkey being shipped to a zoo in New Zealand, and then we cut to 1957 in Wellington, where we meet Lionel Cosgrove.
It's funny too because this movie, with it being 1957, like it doesn't feel like it is, but it does at the same time. It's got such a weird.
It feels like it should be in the 80s, but
yeah, it has like a warped reality to it. Everything is kind of like over exaggerated.
Yeah.
Even the town that they're shooting in, when they're like doing all like the shots of like the streets and everything, and like the corner store, it's very weird. It's like its own thing, its own universe. Like the way that Peter Jackson was able to depict this place that it's in, it's so weird. It's almost like a Tim Burton feeling, like town. I can see that,
yeah.
But it's Peter Jackson's mind, and it's nuts. It's really, really nuts, and I love it.
Yeah, no, same here. But yeah, we meet Lionel Cosgrove, who lives with his mom, who is very like overbearing and like overprotective. Her name is Vera. Mom. Yeah, you'll hear. But you'll hear her referred to as Mum most of the movie. Yep. So Lionel falls in love with a local shopkeeper's daughter named Paquita. And while they're at the zoo during the day, going on a date, she ends up spying on them and ends up getting bitten by the Sumatran rat monkey.
Yeah, dude, this is some weird shit. Like this is when it really starts taking off, I think, even more. Like there's a few things that like happen like before with like the whole like fortune telling thing, and which isn't like a huge thing. It's just them kind of like setting up that these two are meant to be together, but there's going to be something bad that happens. So yeah, they get to the zoo, and then you see like this stop motion claymation thing of the rat monkey, and it's like eating the other monkey.
And it's like pulling it through the bars and shit.
Yeah, like ripped off its arm and stuff, and then we see that they're sitting, and Mom is like spying on them through the bushes, and then the rat monkey bites her, and then she just smashes that monkey's brains in.
Oh my god, she ain't having it.
It's nuts, dude.
But yeah, so she just destroys its fucking head, and then ends up the animal bite. They get home, they leave. He's trying to take care of the wounds, and it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
But eventually it ends up like changing her.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just lost my place.
And I think Paquita stays the night too, and that's when they do the dirty.
Oh yeah,
you know,
love making scene.
Yeah, you don't really see anything,
but it's insinuated.
Yeah.
But yeah. So meanwhile, Mom is dying in bed.
Yes.
With her bite wound, and it ends up turning her into a half-alive zombie.
It's I don't know what it's. I guess if you go with the overseas title, BrainDead, it's just brain-dead people.
Yeah,
is the best way to kind of describe it, because like you could say zombies, yes, you could be like, oh, it's the Return of the Living Dead zombie, because you can cut off the limbs and they'll still be going on, or it could be its own thing. It's I don't know. I guess calling them just ghouls. But not like the zombie ghoul, just I don't know, like this really sick undead ghouls or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
It's a new take on the classic like undead. Like...
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely fresh. It's also really funny too, because when Lionel has to go wake up Mom, he's like going in and opening up the shit. Oh wow, Mom, what a beautiful day, and everything like that. And then like looks at her, and it's like really bad infection in her arms, like pulsating. And he's like trying to like dab it and secure it. And then those people who were supposed to come see Vera for donations or something show up, and then Lionel's like, "Oh my God, they're here!" So she tries to get dressed, and like gluing her face together too is really, really funny.
She's fucking up her lipstick.
And then we get the famous
lunch scene.
Lunch scene that's fucking ridiculous.
You can talk about that one if you want.
Sure. So it's the quote unquote like annual meeting, and there's a guy there who's like pigging out. This guy is like, he wants to eat. He's pigging out. The other girl, I forget their names. I don't think they really said it. But they're all like looking at Vera, and Lionel's on the other end, just eating, kind of like nervous, but also trying to play it off like it's all cool. And then the guy's like, "What? No pudding!" So instead of that, they get like a custard, and he's like, "Oh, this is damn fine custard," and and then like she like pops like a
blister.
Yeah, like on her hand, and it goes into his custard. And then the other lady's like watching him eat it, and then she's eating, and her ear falls off and eats her pudding or custard. And then the lady kind of gets really grossed out, which I would too. And then it cuts to I think Paquita talking to her grandmother and saying that Lionel brings dark forces and stuff like that. And then Paquita comes over later, and her dog Fernando gets eaten by Mom. And she just has a whole thing in her mouth, and they just take it out. And then we find out that Mom like dies, or goes to, essentially does die, but they call the nurse, and then nurse shows up, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, your mom's dead, Lionel." And then she kind of comes back, because Lionel's like, "Oh no, Mom, you're all dead." And then she comes back and bites the nurse's neck, and then like rips her head backwards, which is really, really crazy. And then she like pushes Lionel. And then Paquita's like upstairs trying to like pack to go to
she's like
to the hospital.
With the toothbrush.
Blue. And then Lionel's like downstairs like throwing vases at like all their heads and shit. He's like, "What color? What green?" And then he manages to get them all into the basement, and then he goes upstairs and turns up the radio that Paquita's listening to, so they don't hear all the shit that's going on. And then Lionel takes a little trip to the vet, and this guy is just he's something else, man. He's definitely something else. He's like, what the fuck is he experimenting on, like a rabbit or some shit? And he's like a mad scientist vibes, and he's going there to get sedatives. He's like, I just want to buy some sedatives. And he's like, "I don't have any sedatives. Tranquilizers I do have." And he's like, "Do you want the syringes as well?" So he's like,
he goes in this giant jug.
He's like, "Here you go, and have fun." Like, I mean, I guess going to a hospital, like an actual hospital, to ask more questions, but going to like a vet, I guess it's more lenient, even though it's still kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess that's, maybe if he's trying to hide it might be the best bet.
And I mean, this guy was
less questions.
No one's gonna bother this fucking mad scientist vet dude. I wouldn't even bring my pet to him. I'm sorry, but he's definitely weird. But yeah, Lionel gets home and ventures into the basement, and he starts to kind of like sedate everybody. In a way,
he's got like a zombie daycare going.
yeah, literally. He has to like break up people and whatnot, but then he goes to talk to Paquita and says, "You need to tell me about these dark forces." And then this is another thing, is that it has a lot of like Evil Dead stuff going on with like the close-ups and shit on the faces, especially with the grandmother, because they keep like looking at each other and it's a close-up, and they like the back and forth, like, huh, and then he gets like this giant fucking like amulet thing that's supposed to be like, this is light forces or something that's supposed to help you with these dark forces. So he has to carry around this giant amulet all the time. And then we find out that Mom like broke loose, and she gets hit by like a fucking bus, but doesn't explode or anything. She goes
flying through the window.
Yeah, rag dolls like across like the street, and then manages to like go and land into the store that Paquita and Lionel are. And he's like, oh well, I guess they must have let her off
The
early.
chances.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh no, mom's dead now. And so he has to like keep like sedating her and shit at the funeral, which is really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when we meet the father, and then we realize that everything is just so batshit in this universe, or wherever you want to call it. Like, would you want to live in this universe with this shit going on? Like, if you were aware, like if you saw this film and you're aware like what's going on, would you want to live there, or would you be like, nah, this is too batshit for me, sorry?
I don't know. That might be a little too crazy for me, but I think it would be like watching it like in the scene that comes up in the playground. I think that would be fucking hilarious.
Oh my god, yeah.
Just because I have a fucked up sense of humor, but like
yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if I could live in that universe though.
Yeah, and also at the funeral we get introduced to the uncle. What the fuck's his name? Uncle Les. Yeah. Oh my god. And then he introduces himself to Paquita, and Paquita he asks her what her name is, and he says, "Oh, Latin, eh?" Like, this guy's a fucking dumbass. But it's really funny too, because through all this, like, Lionel has to keep going and like sedating his mother so she doesn't get up and start walking around. And then he goes into this like mad scientist room where it's like tubes going into her, and then the people who were saying like, oh my god, it was a really tough embalming and stuff like that, they go there, and like the person I guess that works underneath the mortician, and then like he does something and her face starts like oozing like exploding all this like green shit everywhere while Lionel's in the room watching it happen. And then as like the ceremony is going on and they're going to get the casket, Lionel gets attacked by his mom, and then everybody sees it as well. It's like, oh no, I just really missed her and whatnot. But I think she ends up getting buried, and then later that night Lionel goes to sedate her even more, but he gets ganged up by a bunch of these greasers that I'm calling them. And then he kind of gets attacked, but then one of them starts pissing on his mother. He's like, "That's my mom you're pissing on," and then he says, "Yeah, whatever." But then they all like she comes out of the grave, and it was like, it's a zombie. But then she bites everybody, so then they start turning into zombies. And then the father comes out. He's like, what's going on? And he said, "This calls for divine intervention." And he like jumps over things. He's like, "I kick ass for the Lord." He's doing like all this like kung fu and kicking and shit. It's really fucking funny.
Fucking this stuff.
Oh yeah.
With what's his name? I forget his name. The dude who's like it was like Cookie or something. Charlie something. No.
Chocolate Charlie. Chocolate Charlie. Yeah. That's a really funny movie too. Yeah, this movie is just batshit, and it's funny too because the priest does die, but he gets thrown onto the statue of like God, but his fingers are up, so it's like the priest gets fingered. Like, I think I was saying this before on our last recording. It's like it has to be some sort of like, I don't know, like undertone there. Yeah, something weird going on. But then I guess we have another family gathering, if you want to talk about that whole debacle with the priest and everybody. They're all eating the food, and he has to like put the tranquilizers in the food.
Oh yeah. So he so he also gets blackmailed by his uncle too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So he ends up like putting the poison into the for the zombies to kind of buries them just as everybody's arriving.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be animal stimulant.
Oh my god, yes.
So whereas the bite originated from, or the virus or whatever came from an animal bite, it just made them stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, they end up bursting out from the ground to attack the party.
Yeah, because the uncle was a asshole.
Yeah.
And says like, well, if you don't do this, then I'm gonna take the house and whatnot. So he's like, you need to give me something, because she didn't his sister, right?
Yeah.
So which was mom, didn't leave him anything in her will. So he was like, I'm gonna, pretty much take this house, and I was like, whatever, go and take it.
Yep. But yeah, so the zombies end up attacking the housewarming party.
Oh, we did it again. We
Did we skip something?
We went over the zombie baby again.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, so
for some reason we always do that, even in the last recording. So I'll let you talk about that one because I know you like that scene.
So yeah, while he was keeping the zombies in the basement, they reproduced.
Yeah.
They created a demon zombie baby. Which is creepy as hell, mind you, too. But so he's got to take care of this baby, and he ends up taking it out in a stroller for a walk.
Yeah.
He's like in the playground, and the thing gets loose and is just like causing mayhem. So he's trying to keep it under control and catches it, but then he grabs the baby and he's like slamming it on the pools and shit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's like these like three like ladies like staring at him too. It's so fucking funny.
And then he's just like, "Oh, hot one today, huh?"
Oh, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, so while all this is going on, the baby's just kind of like just going around fucking again, like I said, causing mayhem and just being a little shithead. But anyway, yeah, everybody's some of the people are running, some of them getting eaten up by zombie ghouls.
Yeah, whatever you want to call them. Dead Alivians.
Yeah, Dead Alivians. But where Lionel goes into a room where he sees Paquita fighting with his uncle. And then he tells them about this outbreak, which they start panicking, and he ends up getting out through the window, the uncle, while Lionel pulls out a large hanger with clothes. Which ends up distracting the zombies, and lets Paquita escape.
Mm-hmm.
Then later he ends up killing the zombified greaser.
Yes.
Which Void, he was the greaser, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. So he like splits him in half, but his intestines end up coming out.
Oh yeah.
And attacking him.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot of wacky stuff. Like towards the end of this movie, I couldn't even like talk about certain scenes. I just have a bunch of like kills and shit that happen because it's so fast paced.
Oh, I know.
But like the light bulb lady who gets her head like in a light bulb.
It's like, how the fuck is that even happening?
And then the guy who's like ripping apart the rib cage and shit, and then the fist through the mouth that happens. That's fucking awesome. The head stomping, the part when Lionel's running in place in a bunch of blood, which is really fucking funny.
Gag.
He's like, I can't go anywhere again. All
but
the
zombies aren't getting any closer. They're just and he's like,
D2 thing, hedge clipping, in the attic when Lionel discovers that his dad,
crazy uncle.
Yeah, and then and then we find out the truth about Lionel's dreams too, which we've got to talk about. Was he has like this flashbacks of drowning, and he says that his dad saved him when he was drowning in the ocean or something, but we find out that was a lie, that his mother killed his father and the person that he was seeing, and her skeleton is in the attic, and then the fucking intestine thing comes after him again. I said, I call it intestine foo, because like he's trying to fucking figure out what's going on. Exploding heads, we got gnome head.
Gnome head.
I'm pretty sure Paquita gets bitten at some point, and then bunch of really crazy shit that happens, and then we get the almighty pretty much ending is when Mega Mama shows up.
Oh, Mega Mama.
And the
Mega Mom.
The insane amount of gore that happens with the lawnmower.
The lawnmower
and shit.
Scene, yes.
I also really like the part where when the uncle goes in the room too, and he has the sped up cutting that he's doing and killing all these people was really fucking funny.
He's just
that
like
happens.
Chopping them up.
Yeah, it's super funny. This movie has a lot going on, but the whole ending is just it's so fun.
Pretty quick, honestly.
It does. But I'll let you kind of talk about the whole lawnmower food that starts happening.
So, meanwhile, as Paquita and Rita being chased by zombies, or ghouls, dead and Lavians,
BrainDeadians, whatever the fuck you want to call them.
Lionel comes in, and he's got a running lawnmower. but he's got it like strapped to him and shit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So anyways, he ends up holding it up, so the blade's out and going around and chopping up the zombies. But then he realizes it didn't like kill them, so he's like, shit, round 2.
Yeah.
He goes around just
this lawnmower does not die either.
No, you'd think the blade would be like all dulled out.
Yeah, nope.
But he ends up and like just chopping up all these zombies, and then his blood everywhere. He is fucking drenched.
Yeah, it's great too. Like if you go on IMDb and look it up, the scene, like the shot that they have is the ending of him with that smile or that crazy face, and it's all blood and gore and shit.
Just the look of relief on his face, though. He's just like,
yeah.
But anyways, this body parts flying. There was blood everywhere. But now they're all fighting more and more zombies while and the intestines and spinal cords and everything ends up just everywhere. But anyway,
it's so wonderful. If you're a gore hound, this is definitely a film for you, because the whole ending, and it has a record too of having the most gallons of blood, which I still don't think has been broken.
I don't think so.
No, I think we
look that up.
Yeah.
But Paquita is fighting zombies, but she notices something wrong with Rita, and as she's talking to her, the baby's hands come up around her ears and ends up splitting her head.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Right in half. So Rita's dead, but just as it attacks her, Mandy, who's the one impaled on a light bulb.
Yeah, our light bulb girl.
She goes up in flames.
Yeah.
Manages to ignite some gas going from an open pipe and setting the house on fire.
Yeah.
Also love the scene too. There's a scene where she's trying to kill the baby and drop it in the blender, but he like grabs onto the lamp and shit.
Yeah.
That was like while the whole like massacre was going on.
Yeah, there was a lot that happened. You need to watch this film to get the full context, because it's impossible for me to talk about everything that happens in this batshit movie.
Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, the house is on fire. But then, and Lionel manages, at this point, he's killed all the zombies with his lawnmower until his mother shows up. She was originally bitten, so she become like this giant, like beast zombie.
Yeah, it's weird because they were using like looks like claymation again, but mixed with real life, like acting and stuff. Yeah. And she's huge.
Has anyone seen Mum?
Yeah, I haven't seen Mum yet. Has anybody seen her?
So, anyways, she's this gargantuan monster with like a fucked up head and spine and giant titties.
Yeah, and a huge ass too. And it's just like, if she were to fall on you, you're dead.
It's like Rikishi.
Oh yeah, man, that guy was cool as fuck.
Right.
Oh my god, I would not in a million years would I get in a ring with him.
Hell no. Anyways, she ends up chasing them to the top of the roof, and Paquita almost falls, and she's hanging on the edge while Lionel fights his mother, or confronts his mother about like what happened to his father, and because
you killed Dad.
You killed Dad. Because at this point he knows what happened.
Yeah.
He found the skeleton and.
Yep.
Anyways, but it ends up revealing that she drowned his father and his mistress, and anyways, Lionel
he gets like consumed, right?
Yeah.
Like, she like eats him or puts him in her belly or some weird shit.
Her womb.
Yeah.
She, like, takes him back.
Yeah, it's so weird.
But he like closes her inside and says that he's such a good boy and that no one will ever love you as much as me.
Oh, it's so disturbing.
As Paquita starts screaming in horror, Lionel's mother then tries to kill her. By removing her hands from the pole she's holding on to, and it says, in an over-the-top Freudian rebirth, Lionel cuts his way out of his mother grotesquely changed, gigantified body using the cross he got from Paquita's grandmother.
Yeah, the amulet thing.
Yeah.
And it's just blood. It's just a river of blood as soon as he does that. It's a non-stop pouring of blood. And it's awesome.
Yeah, it says falling out in a river of blood and then being reborn in quotation marks from a pile of gore.
Yeah,
placenta in I hate that word so much.
It's just imagine you being him and I would puke. I'm sorry. Just the smell alone of that house at this point.
I can only imagine.
Like,
just
my
burning, rotting flesh. But
oh my god, they should have added it. They should have added a gag of them being in here and it was like puking like continuously, right? Like Paquita and Lionel, that they couldn't take it. And it was puking so much.
The whole movie is just them puking.
Yeah.
So then she ends up falling into the burning house, and they escape the house and walk away holding each other, covered in blood and gore. As the fire department shows up and puts the fire out.
A little late there, pals.
Yeah, I know, right?
Sorry, they probably better been turned into zombies anyway.
Yeah.
It's also funny too because he like throws away like the amulet. Like I think it's like kind of a nod or something to be like, oh, he doesn't need any more protection, so now they're gonna go have kids or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah, right.
Something weird like that. The movie is just it's nuts. It's like I said before, I can't really put this against another film unless you want to.
So unlike anything, it's its own movie. It's like so you really can't compare it to anything else.
Yeah. And I guess we'll go on to final verdicts. And I'm pretty sure when we did this the first time, I gave it a 10 out of 10. Yeah. I think I think we both did. So I'm gonna do that again. I feel like we've been giving a lot of 10 out of 10s lately.
But we've been watching a lot of good movies.
Yeah, and it's also a lot of movies that are its own thing, so it's hard to compare or to critique it in a way that would like knock off points. This movie just doesn't stop. It's a fucking ride, and a good ride. It's a great ride. If you haven't seen this movie, then you need to.
For sure.
Just go on YouTube, like I said, and just look up Dead Alive or BrainDead.
It'll be there.
You'll find it. I do want to get a DVD of this, and maybe some like memorabilia as well, because this movie is great. And I really do think Peter Jackson needs to go back to his horror roots, or at least his horror comedy roots.
Oh hell yeah! I would love to see more movies like this,
especially with his higher budget films. I think I would like to see a high budget horror comedy from him, but I would also like to see him kind of go back down to a lower budget like this, even though it was $3 million, so it wasn't really low, but that could also be, I don't know, he must have been using like whatever their currency was over there, but it was just converted to what we were, like what we used.
So it could have been more, but
yeah. So anyway, 10 out of 10. This movie is fucking great.
Not really anything I would change negative about it. I have nothing negative to say about it. It just keeps going and going.
Yep.
Until the end, and you're gonna love every second of the movie. And like I said, there's lots of influences from other like zombie flicks.
For sure,
you'll see them. But yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yes, and
I love me a horror comedy.
Yeah, so I would say if you want to live my childhood, and you want to feel how I feel, I want you to watch these movies in this order. Okay, I want you to watch House, Dead Alive, Night of the Creeps, and that would be my childhood. Those are the three movies that if I think back, then obviously Halloween's part of it too, but the ones that I remember fondly and really enjoying and not being too afraid are those three movies. And I'm pretty sure House and House 2 I think are on Shudder. Night of the Creeps I think was on Shudder. I don't know where it is now. Maybe you can watch it on Tubi maybe. And Dead Alive you can watch on YouTube. So go watch those movies, get yourself some popcorn, and you'll have a great time. Do a triple feature, you know. I should probably do I should probably do that honestly one of these days and just watch those movies in that order. But yeah, this movie's great. I don't really have anything else I want to add to it because I want you guys to watch it for yourself and experience it.
Just go watch it.
Exactly. And I think that's pretty much all that we're gonna say on this. Sorry that this was a delayed episode, but shit happens sometimes, and it was my fault because I was dumb. But we're here, and now you guys are listening to it, so thank you so much for the support as always. And we'll catch you on the next one. This was the BrainDead podcast. I was your host, Dustin.
I was your co-host, Aaron.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
We love you.
Take care.